Hey guys, this is another episode in the Philosophy is Fun podcast, and I'm joined here with my bro right there, Tommy Wyderko, and we're getting back into this thing. Sorry guys that I haven't had much time to do another episode, but I've been working really hard on the Human Powered Podcast Network, and if you didn't hear, I got my first show up there with Nitin with his Tech Talk, so you guys should check that out. Posted the links on Facebook and everything. But now let's go back to this episode of the podcast, and since it's around the time when people like Tommy are going to start going to college, we thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to talk about moving on and kind of going through the next phases in your life. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, Alan and I were discussing this. We think that, a person's life is broken down into many different chapters, kind of like a book, like you have your childish innocence days, toddler years, you have your teenage years where you're rebelling against everything, and then I guess the years where you start independence, which is I guess what I'm going into college. And throughout all these times, I feel like a lot of times people don't want to move on from one chapter to the next. A lot of times people have issues moving on chapters, but I feel like it's not really something you can stop, and the train will just keep rolling, What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I like your point about how it's tough to change. A lot of going through life is going through the different phases, and I feel like that probably other people have this feeling too, but like right as I get comfortable in one phase, it goes into the next, like I'm just settled and I'm ready to go. I'm all feel secure and comforted in the current phase of my life, but now I'm about to move on to the next phase, and I just feel like that people, it's kind of like a bad timing in a sense, but it's inevitable because you can't stop time, and I feel like it's never necessarily a bad thing. It's just how our emotions and just the human feelings get in the way and caught up in our natural progression into life, Do you feel that way?
Yeah, a lot of people don't really like change, I've noticed, because change requires us to expend effort, to adapt to whatever was changing,
yeah. And we aren't comfortable, and we like that sense of security.
Exactly, you brought up sense of security. You get this sense of security when you're in this one chapter of your life for so long, but once you move on, everything you knew is just shattered. All the stuff that I thought I knew is about to be shattered going off to college. All these preconceived notions I had, and it's. There's a lot of that sense of security is just going to vanish right as you move on.
Yeah. So do you think there's a best phase in life? Since we are pretty young, we haven't experienced our golden years, we're not really old at all, but we just feel like we are because we're changing into an adulthood, But do you feel like that childhood is the best, or do you feel like being an adult is good? My childhood, I love my childhood, and I really don't want it to go. I'm one of those people, like you said, that hates change, and I just feel like that it's going to suck moving on, not having your parents be there for you to support you. You got to become your own sustainable and independent person, and that's scary to me at least, and it's probably to other people too.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people say, your high school / college years are the best years of your life. I don't know. I enjoyed childhood a lot. I miss nap time, and I miss everything being so simple. When you're a child, there's a simple explanation for everything, it seems. Or maybe it's just that simple explanation suffices for you. But I found as I get older, everything just seems to get more and more complex. This person I know, the assistant coach of the cross-country team at my high school, I was talking to her about how she works at this store that sells sporting goods and stuff like that. And she was talking about how she sells jackets there. And I really didn't know that jackets were that complicated, but apparently there's 30 different types of jackets, and quite,
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just, I guess a big part about moving on is finding out yourself, that's kind of cliche, I guess, but it's a lot about self-discovery and finding out, when you're a child, you don't really have any cares, you don't have any constraints. As you're an adult, you have constraints and things that tie you down, like a family, you need to support them for survival and things like that, so you can't just wander off and do everything. And while you're a kid, you might not have that much power to do a lot, but you're pretty much carefree and can do almost whatever your parents allow, or whatever, your world, in a sense, I kind of feel like is smaller. You don't realize everything that's around in your environment, so it just seems like you can do whatever. But as an adult, you come to the realization that there's so much stuff out there that you haven't been exposed to yet, and it can be exciting in a way, but also scary, like living on your own.
Like the consequences of your actions and stuff.
Yeah, you definitely have to take more responsibility for your actions.
Yeah, like when you're a child, and you do anything you want, and you don't really think about how it's affecting others. But now, you do something, and you're always worried, oh, this is going to affect my parents, it's going to affect my siblings, my friends, And when you're a child, you just don't have that.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. But I guess, like, a good thing to think about as an adult is that you definitely have more opportunities available to you, and you're not constrained to what your parents say and how small you are and what power you have as a child, So you're open to allow it to, like, party until, like, 2 o'clock in the morning if you feel like it, Like, as an adult, nobody really tells you, so you have to, that becomes a lot of, like, personal constraints, Like, you have to set up individual guidelines for yourself to follow, and that can be tough if you're not disciplined enough, So that's a lot of adapting to.
As a guy once said in a comic book, it was Peter Parker's uncle, with great power comes great responsibility.
Amen, man. Like, yeah, that's basically sums it up. It's pretty crazy.
As you get older, you get more power, but you also get more responsibilities dumped on you.
So, are you excited to go to college?
Yes, I am. I've been counting down the days.
Really?
T-5 at this point. 5 days.
That's weird. I guess we should kind of go into getting acclimated and getting ready to prepare, because, like, I've been scared and I've wanted to stay in high school for forever, but as I've been going on these college visits, I'm getting excited and I'm, like, pumped, I kind of want, in a way, I'm torn between wanting senior year to never end and wanting just to skip it altogether,
Well, what I think is, this is for all you seniors out there, I found that I was excited about senior year, but then by the end, I was ready for it to be over. I was done. I wanted to move on.
So
I think it ends at just the right time.
Really? So you don't think that it doesn't end for some people, or it's just really bad timing, like there's just some people not ready for it?
I think there are plenty of people that are not ready for it. There are a lot of people who are just not ready to move on and are not ready to face the responsibilities that await them. But, that's why they're either not going to college or not going to good colleges.
Yeah. Good point. I guess it's kind of characteristic, like how well you've done in your childhood and in high school and stuff can kind of lay the groundwork for how you're going to do in the future. So it's kind of cool to think about, and just got to take it one step at a time, I guess. So you think we covered this pretty good?
Yep, I think we did.
All right. Thank you, Tommy, and I hope you have a good time in college. And for everybody else going there, I'm going to miss you guys, but have fun in your future. So see you guys.
See ya.